Okay, hey guys. So this tutorial is going to be a very simple introduction to using Adobe Illustrator. This should provide you with enough knowledge how to use some of the basic tools to create shapes um, and use lines to create probably things like you want to do logos and stuff like that. Um, Also, uh, some text manipulation. So do remember that the fundamental tools is really simple enough for you to be able to do quite a lot, which I will be showing you. We'll be creating shapes using some of the shape tools, but I will also show you how to use a pen tool to use it. But before I start showing you what how to use Illustrator, I think it's also important to know why we use Illustrator, when we use Illustrator, is because a lot of people would think that, oh, I could use Photoshop for doing my logo, and I don't know, I probably don't need to use Illustrator. But the thing is, um, if you're making something like a logo, it's important that you learn to make it in Illustrator because of the way images are created. Okay, so allow me to explain. Um, let's start with Photoshop here. Let's put the screen away. All right, so you won't see me for a while until the tutorial ends. Now, what you see here on the screen is Photoshop. Okay, now Photoshop creates bitmap images and it reads bitmap images, meaning to say that all of the images here are made of pixels. So if I zoom in really close, you can see the small little squares, right? So images here are made of pixels. So if I made a circle this small, right, on an A4 document, for example, and if I increase the size of this circle, sorry, and made it big, you can see it pixelates and it doesn't look very good. It gets fuzzed up. So that's not what you want when you create a logo, because what happened one day you kind of make a logo and you want to print it so large for, like, let's say your company's billboard or something, and you made it only in Photoshop. That's going to be a big problem because um, your logo will pixelate right now. So images are created in Photoshop, or images you deal with in Photoshop are all bitmap. Whereas if you go to Illustrator, for example, why you like to use Illustrator to create logos is because, see, let's say I create a circle, right? And um, I'm going to just fill it with a color. Okay, so now how I fill it with a color is, do you notice these two squares here? All right, if you can't see this, if you can't see where this color thing is, any windows that you see hanging out here that I have, if you don't see it, you go to window and just bring out color. Yeah, so there's a check next to it, so therefore I can see my window, my color tab here. All right, I personally prefer to use HSB because it's easier to adjust. Now, the one with the outline, well, this is the outline. It's quite simple to see, yeah. So the square behind this one here, which after I click it, came in front. That's the fill. So whenever you create an object, that's the fill color. If I change it to green, it will change to green. But as you can see, the outline, which is this square with the hole in the center, that remains orange, which is exactly what it is. See? A green square with a orange outline. Okay. Um, so yeah, coming back to pixelation now. I've made this circle. It's relatively small, but when I increase it, make it large, you notice that my line is still very pristine, very clean. It's because in Illustrator, images are not they are called vector images, meaning there is a mathematical calculation that the software uses to create the images instead of pixels. So it's a lot different. So when you create something in Illustrator, no matter how large you increase it, it will not pixelate because it's not pixel dependent. It's based on mathematical calculations to construct the image. Okay, um, so yeah. Uh, I think that's good enough. an explanation. So just keep in mind that when you are making a logo, is good to usually use Illustrator. I strongly advise against using Photoshop, but then again, sometimes some images do kind of have like bitmap qualities, for example, gradients and tone, then that's quite a different matter. Yeah, I think logos like that are a little trickier to handle. Yeah. But anyways, okay, coming back to this, while we were on that, we every object that you create in Illustrator has a fill and a line, yeah, an outline, which you can change colors like just now. Can you change the thickness of the outline? Of course you can. So you go to Window, and the one you want to look for is Stroke, right? So Stroke, you can increase the weight of the stroke to say 9. So this is a 9 stroke. So you can see it's an outline and it is 0.9. Yeah, it's a 9 point, sorry, 9 point stroke. Okay, you want to go thicker, you can go even up to 40. Yeah, all right. So that's the outline. Okay, now what other shape tools do you have? If you go here, just now I went here to create a circle. It's called an ellipse tool to create this. Yeah, you can also create squares. Now, if I hold down my shift key, it will remain a perfect square. I'm holding down my shift key now on the keyboard, and if I move my mouse up and down, left and right, and just move it in any direction, you can see that it changes the size. And when I release, that's where when I release my mouse, that's when the shape gets created. Now say I don't want the outline, I just want a green box. How do you do that? You click on the outline over here. Do you see this red slash over here? That's where you go X. You choose none. That means it has no outline. Alright, and with Adobe Illustrator 2019, there's this nice little option here that allows you to, this little circle here, if you go to the edge, you can actually round up the edges of your square, which is very, very useful. Okay, all right, so what else do you have? You have, you can create a shape with this hexagonal tool. If you press your arrow and up and down button, it will increase the size or decrease the size if it's a down button. Okay, once again, if I release, you get the shape. All right, and you see this little square, this little circle here, if you roll over it and you kind of just push it down, you kind of get rounded edges, just like the square. Same goes with the star tool. If I put my press my up arrow key, the points will increase. Now, if I hold down my control key now, and I pull my mouse, you notice that the points of the star are getting longer. So that's what it is for. If you want to say make a Malaysian flag, you of course have to increase the amount to 14. I lost count. And of course pull it out so that it gets sharper. If not, you get a pretty cute looking kind of star. Okay? Right, so these are different ways to create those very basic geometric shapes. Yeah, squares, circles, triangle. Well, basically, you can use a star to create a triangle. Just go all the way down, and hold down your control key until the lines become straight. There you go. There's a triangle. Okay, let's change the color. Click on this. You can change your color from here. Okay, so you've got all these different shapes, right? Now, what if you want like a real organic shape or a very unique sort of shape? I usually like using the pen tool. Okay, where do I get my pen tool? It's this one here, sorry, over here. I click on this, all right, and I can create nice looking shapes. Now, when I create an organic shape, for example, okay, let me just switch this off. Smart guys, I hate using smart guides. All right, yeah. So say I want to create the shape of a leaf, okay? So I'm gonna just click here. Now what it does is I've clicked once, I move my mouse, I'm not dragging it, my finger is off the button. I'm gonna go somewhere else on the paper and click and pull. I'm gonna pull and you get these two beziers, these handlers that come out, right? They are two things that you can actually manipulate later on to change the curve, okay? So I'm gonna release and go here, click it one more time and pull until until the desired line is achieved, okay? And then click again, and then here I'm not going to pull out because I want it to be a point, okay? Because whenever you pull it out it becomes a curve, but I want it to be a point, so I'm going to just click and release, and then I'm going to click and pull here now, okay? Again, click and pull, click here, click here, click here. Okay, so I have the shape of a leaf now. Now, can you change the shape of this leaf? Of course you can. What you need to do is use a direct selection tool. Say, I don't quite like the shape of this leaf. You can select here, oops, sorry, and pull this out and pull this out, all right? So that you can change the shape of your leaf. You can even hold down to these handlers and kind of manipulate the curve and see if it's what you want. All right. Okay. So say now this part here, let's say the last minute you want to kind of manipulate this a little bit and make it into a curve. You choose the anchor point tool, and what you do is you click and release. Click, drag, and then release. Once you've done that, this point, which previously had no handlers, now has two handlers. And when you have that, then you can again manipulate this as well. Okay, yeah. So it's pretty simple how to create organic shapes. You can do all sorts of stuff with the pen tool. You can create all sorts of stuff. You can bring in an image and kind of trace over the image as well. Okay, so now the next thing I want to show you is how to use a very nice thing we call a Pathfinder. Okay, now what does a Pathfinder what does the Pathfinder do? I'm going to just show you two that I use most often, which is Unite and Divide. Okay, now I'm going to show you the Divide one first. Let's say this leaf, for example, I want to create a hole in here, right? A hole in here, like a line, and I want it to be a hole. I don't want it to just be a white line. Say I'm going to put this leaf on a gray background. I want the line here to also be gray. Okay, so I'm going to click, create a shape, like a smooth, sleek line. Okay, I'm going to change a different color so that I can see it clearer. Okay, just a gray sort of color or white. Okay, so I'm gonna just change the shape a little bit to more of what I want. Okay, this I do not want it to have handlers because I want it to be a point. So I'm just gonna click this off. Or you can actually pull out the handlers again and then break it. Okay, once you do that, what you are able to do is actually manipulate the shape of this point as well. So it's a point, but you can manipulate the shape. Okay. And I'm going to create handlers here as well so that I can change the shape of this point. Okay, Oops, sorry. Okay, now I've done the shape. Now, for example, if I take this triangle here and I put it behind this leaf, you can see that the triangle, you can't see the triangle at all. But I don't want that. I want to be able to see the triangle behind. So I'm going to select this thing that I've just made, this kind of the center of the leaf here. And I'm going to select the green part of the leaf as well. And I will use Pathfinder to divide. When I click on divide, what happens is, now, if I click on this area, I can move it out and delete it. So what you have now is a leaf that has this hole. For example, if let's say I put this and make it red, so there's a hole that you can see through. So that's what Pathfinder does. Okay, it's very simple. For example, like if I take this, I put it in the center of this, and I select the back shape, okay, and I click on Pathfinder Divide, what will happen is I delete this red thing now. Now this object has a hole. Okay, so that's what Pathfinder Divide does. Now, what does Pathfinder Unite do? Okay, so let's just say you want to make something. Let's put these things away or make them smaller. Hold on, just put them away. Now, say you want to create a house, right? A shape of a house. So you've got a triangle here, and you want to create a square. I've just selected the square tool, drag it out. Okay, so you've got a square and a triangle. Okay, um, another thing that I want to introduce to you simultaneously is, for example, which is a line. Okay, what does a line do? Right? What does a line do? You can see all these weird little squares with a line next to it. What it does is basically align the object. For example, I want this square directly under this triangle. Okay, even if I try to eyeball it, it may not be very accurate. But what if I want it to be directly in the center? I select both objects. Let's offset it a little bit more so that the change is more obvious to you. Okay, so increase the size. Now, how do I increase the size? I just select both objects, hold down my alternate and then my shift key, and then increase. I click and increase. Go to one of the corners and then click and increase. Now, I select the triangle and the square, and the one that I want to do is I want them to align like both one on top of each other, but in the center of each other. So I'm going to choose this one, horizontal align center. When I click that, now what you notice is now it has become center of each other. Okay, they've aligned themselves on top of each other directly in the center. There's an axis that can go through this object, dividing both of them equally. Okay, so now it is still separable, but what if I want to fuse these two objects together? Okay, this triangle with the square. Right now, if I select them both, you can see that they are still separate entities. One is a triangle, one is a square. So now what I want to do is, I want to fuse them. I go back to Pathfinder here, and you see this, Unite. Observe this line here, just take note of this line. When I click it, boop, it disappears. So this becomes now a whole shape by itself, right? Say you want to create some windows, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down my shift key, create a simple window, just hold down my duplicate, hold down the alternate key, click and drag, okay? And I'm going to group this square so that I don't end up just picking one of them. You can choose not to, but at this point of time, probably you should. How to group them? Control G, and probably change the color a little bit. Go over this house. Okay, and now if I were to put this leaf behind, you can't see it, right? But if I took this and then put divide, and then after you divide, you need to delete off the pieces that created the hole for the object. So what you do is select those and then you press delete, and now you notice that there's a hole and you can put your leaf inside. You can see your leaf inside. Okay, all right. So what else can you do? Oh, okay, we have another thing that I want to show you, a shortcut key, which is to duplicate an action. So for example, if I want to duplicate this leaf few times and I want to repeat the action, I hold down my alternate key. Now you see my arrow is a black arrow right now. When I roll over it, you can see it has changed into a small black arrow with a white arrow with a black outline. All right, what this does is duplicate. Right, so I'm going to click on the object now and drag it to probably down here. Okay, release both. Now I'm not going to click anything more, and I'm going to press Control D. You see the action of duplicating it just now is being duplicated again. So Control D actually helps you duplicate an object. Okay, so with that knowledge, now how do you create something like a flower? Okay, so I'm just going to create a circle in the center first. Let's color this like a yellow color. Okay, next I'm going to create one petal. Okay, I'm going to use the circle tool again, drag out a petal, and then colorize it maybe orange, nice orange color. I'm going to align the both of them together, so I'm going to go to align and align them center of each other, horizontally center. Sorry, this is called the horizontal, yeah. So now I'm going to click this. I'm going to make this petal repeat itself around the center of this flower. So what I'm going to do is, you see this tool here called the rotate tool? Click on that. Now, where do you want it to repeat itself? You want to repeat it this way, right? So basically, what you need to do is shift the center or the anchor point, which is marked by this bullseye here, this light blue bullseye. Shift it to the center of the middle of this circle. Okay? Then what happens is, hold down your alternate key, all right? And then click on the petal and pull it out, push it out, and you'll notice that this happens, and then release. Okay, I'm going to repeat. All right, so I'm going to click this object. This is the one you want to duplicate. Go to the rotate tool, bring the blue bullseye down to the center of the circle, go back to the petal, hold down your alternate key, drag it out, and release. Okay, so now without pressing anything yet, press Control D, Control D, Control D, and until it fills up. Now, the tricky part about this is getting the right angle so that it fills up nicely. It usually has this, what's frustrating for me most of the time is that I don't get the perfect angle so that everything fills up nicely and everything is spaced equally. So you kind of have to give it a few tries, but this is nice, I guess, for a flower. Okay, so I'm going to put this one side. What else can we do? All right, text. Let's talk about text. Let's use the text tool, creation of text. Okay, so now this is the text tool to type, right? Type tool. So I'm going to click this, and I'm going to type my name here. Ipsum. Oh, it comes up straight away. Okay, so I'm going to call this probably flower. Flower. Okay, and I don't like this font. I'm gonna change it probably to something. Go to Window. You have to look for type and choose character. So go to Window, type, character, and click on that. Let's choose a nicer, livelier, more fun-looking font. Probably, probably this one. No. Let me see. This looks nice. Sunrise International Demo. Let's click that. Okay, it's quite sweet. Okay, so now I like this font, but what I want to do is probably I want to change the O to this flower. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, now you can see I can't manipulate much of this font. I'm going to go to type, and it should say there. Oops, sorry. Create outline. So what this does, when you click it, now your text has turned into an image, and you can start manipulating it, so much so that you can even, for example, you don't quite like the F, you pull this out, and you find that the two dashes here are too short. You can select those portions and actually pull it out. Yeah, so that's what you do. You go to create outlines, and you can manipulate any font you want. So I'm going to remove the O. I don't want the O. I'm going to want my own O, which is this flower. Okay, so I'm going to put it here. Okay, and then I'm going to select the rest and fill it with the same orange. Yay. Okay, now say I want this alphabet and this alphabet to have different colors. You can. You just select these two. Go here, make it lighter, maybe yellow, and this one even lighter yellow. So yeah, so there you go. So this could be even like a, I don't know, a logo for a florist shop or something. Okay, so I think that's about it. I will be covering for this short introduction. I think it's good enough for you guys to play around with the tools, yeah, and to create all sorts of shapes that you want. Do play around with this align tool. It's pretty simple to understand actually. Let's just get a few objects, yeah, just before we end, just do one exercise where we kind of create a few different circles. Okay. So let's just say I want this one, all right, vertical align top. So now you've got this bunch of objects and you want them all on the same line on the top. This is what you do. You click this one, click, and all of it will be aligned to the top. Now, say if you want them all to be spaced equally away from each other, yeah, instead of manually trying to gauge, what you can do is select them all, and do you see this? Horizontal distribute center. So when you click on that, now they are all the same width apart. Okay, and now you want all of them to be in the center, so you choose this one, vertical align center. Okay, so it aligns itself. Yeah, so these are tools you can play around with for you to arrange your stuff, your logo or your text. Okay, so I hope that this is sufficient. I believe it is quite sufficient. If you have any questions, by all means leave any of your comments, your questions in the comment below, and I'll try and make another video to address those questions. Thanks very much. Bye.